announce the celebrities that are in our presence so you can appreciate them. We will follow that by Jim Jackson giving you a historical perspective of Cupertino, what's transpired, so you will be very pleased to know where you live. Let me start off by introducing the Grand Marshal, Henrietta Marcotte. Now she has her own sign. Let's hear it. The Grand Marshal, Henrietta. Yay! Outstanding job. Moving from Henrietta, one of the very active people in our location, she comes from the federal government, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo. Where is she? Anna is one of the most active federal participants we have around. Following Anna, State Assemblyman Jim Caneen, over here in from the city level, Vice Mayor Don Burnett in the snappy white hat. Followed by Don, Laura Lee Sorensen, right down here. We have John Batista, the chair of the parade committee and fellow councilmember Barbara Koppel. That comprises the current city council. Former mayors that are here. Nick Lazaneo, where are you, Nick? One of the real leaders of the community. He went home. Jim Jackson, past mayor, in the group. Barbara Rogers. Where's Barb? Followed by Phil Johnson. Standing room only. Formal council member, Marshal Goldman. Right there in the blue shirt. In our presence, we have the president of De Anza College, Mrs. Martha Cantor. Martha, she's in a baseball hat and a t-shirt. Where are you, Martha? From Martha, we move to the Foothill Board of Trustees, Judy Moss. That's Dolores Sandoval waiting. Don't let her confuse you. That's Dolores. We'll wait for Judy Moss. Now, guess who's coming after Judy? Dolores Sandoval. The superintendent of Fremont Union High School District, Mary Panucci. Where's Mary? The Fremont Union High School District Board of Trustees, Nancy Newton. Where's Nancy? I know she's here. Frank Pelkey. There's Frank over there holding the sign. Homer Tong. He has a straw hat on. I'm not sure where Homer is. Homer's around. Moving to the superintendent of Cupertino Union School District, Mrs. Pat Lampson. Where's Pat? The Board of Trustees, President, Dr. Michael Chang. Where's Michael? Right there. Followed by one of the trustees, graduate of Cupertino, check that, Sequoia High School in Redwood City, Steve Shell. There's Steve. Followed by Debbie Byron. Debbie around? Emily Lee Kelly. With that, the introductions of the esteemed group, I would like to turn it over to the chairman of the parade committee, Mrs. Barbara Koppel, Councilmember Barbara Koppel, to do the intro segue to Jim Jackson. I give you Barbara Koppel.
Thank you, Mayor Dean. Before I introduce Jim Jackson, if you look over to my left, you're going to see 5 beautiful cakes that local bakeries have donated as a bake-off to celebrate our 40th anniversary. And those are Cafe Gourmet and Catering Company, La Patisserie, Lucky Food Center here in Cupertino, Moss Bakery and Cafe, and Safeway stores. So while you're listening to the presentation of the history of Cupertino, go over here and get some cake and sit down and enjoy the festivities. Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce, come on up here, Jim, one of my favorite and dear friends and loyal supporters, and former mayor of Cupertino. He had to do it twice, so he would get it right. And he's going to give us a history of Cupertino. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Barb. Frankly, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do because, number one, giving a history when you're having a beautiful day and a beautiful parade, the last thing people want to do is to listen to a long series of dry statistics and dates and events. So I'm not going to do that. Also, to truly give even a brief history of a city with a rich history of Cupertino is going to take more than the 2 hours I promised Barb I would do it in. So I cannot go more than 2 hours, and I guarantee it, Barb. So it is going to have to be very, very brief. What I'm going to do is something I have not done before and have not seen done in something like this, and that is I'm going to read a series of vignettes of letters and diaries and events of some of the real pioneers in Cupertino's history. I'm going to start at the very beginning and lead through to the time about 40 years ago when there was annexation. So if you would bear with me, these are the actual words. I'm using the actual words from our pioneers in Cupertino. First one is from the Petrus Font's complete diary of the Sankt Anza expedition. This goes back to March 1776. This is his words. Monday, March 25th, I said Mass. We set out from Arroyo de los Llagas at 7:45 in the morning, and at 4 in the afternoon, we halted at the Arroyo de San Joseph Cupertino. Along the way, many Indians came out to us. On seeing us, they shouted amongst the oaks, and then came out naked like fawns, running and shouting and making many gestures as if they wished to stop us, and signaling to us that we must not go forward. Although they came armed with bows and arrows, they committed no hostility toward us. I think that I must have seen more than 100 Indians. This place of San Joseph Cupertino has good water and much firewood, but nothing suitable for a settlement because it's among the hills very near to the range of cedars, which I mentioned yesterday, and it lacks level lands. The Juan Batista settlement camped on the site of Monte Vista High School, or the present Monte Vista High School, March 25th, 1776. And by the way, I think he was wrong. I actually do think maybe this was appropriate for a settlement. Let's move to 1864. Captain Elisha Stevens. This is from Elisha Stevens. I have decided to leave Santa Clara Valley. It's just too darn civilized. I settled here in 1859 along the banks of a little creek that they call Arroyo de San Joseph de Cupertino. In 1844, I led the Murphy Party over the Sierra Nevada, and I guess I was the first person to lead a successful passage of wagons over the Sierra. I took $855, and I bought 155 acres along this here little creek, and I started the first vineyard in the county. I even started a little blackberry patch along the creek. But I've sold my ranch to W.T. McClellan and George McCauley, and I'm now heading for Kern County. And that's Captain Elisha Stevens' home site was just a few yards from Don Juan Batista had camped in 1775. And the Blackberry Patch is now our Blackberry Farm golf course and Blackberry Farm picnic grounds. And Stevens Creek now bears the name of of Elisha Stevens. Let me pass to Charles Baldwin in 1920. Baldwin writes, well, the phylloxera plague has finally done it. My vines are all wiped out, along with just about everyone else in the valley. I bought the 137 acres along Stevens Creek Road in 1892, and the rich soil and climate resemble that of Bordeaux, France. So I imported the best Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot grapes, and my 70 acres of grapes produced wines that were exported to New York, London, Central America. It was as good as any of the French wines. I'd like to replant my vines, but my wife's ill health causes me to leave for Colorado Springs. I've sold my estate to Frances Pullman Corralon, who is an heiress of the Pullman fortune. We're proud of our home, and we think it's become a peninsula showplace. We've had the first swimming pool, and we even had a replica of the Petit Trianon. As you might know, Charles Baldwin's place is now De Anza College, and the Petit Trianon is there and restored by the Historical Society. It is wonderful. Let's go to 1920. Paul Mariani Sr. Name may ring in some of your minds. I came to Cupertino around 1899 when my girlfriend's family moved here from Yugoslavia. When my father wouldn't let me go, I simply went on strike. I simply stopped working. After a year of that, I finally got my ticket. I had $16 in my pocket, and I landed in San Francisco, and I went to work in a coconut factory. My girlfriend, Victoria Swillich, was in Cupertino, 50 miles away, so I had to ride my bicycle, and that took almost all day. Sometimes I could ride on the train. Well, I lost everything in the 1906 San Francisco quake, but Victoria and I got married in 1907 anyway. Then I saved enough money to buy 5 acres in Cupertino in 1913. I got wiped out again in 1918. Me and my friend, Nick Tikvika, had contracted out many crops of green prunes. When it came up a September rain, 6 inches in 24 hours, ruined all my crops and left us deeply in debt. Next year's crop was so good, though, I paid off all my debts and had enough left to send my family to Europe. As you know, orchard life has been a prominent part of Cupertino history. Here are some vignettes from orchard life in the Depression. From Francis Martin. This is actual quote. Long about 1933, 1934, we'd pay 25 cents per hour labor on the prune ranches, and we'd turn them away. They were begging for work. And you read the Grapes of Wrath? I was host to many of them. They would come with a truck loaded, boiling with kids and people who wanted to pick fruit. Can we camp here, they'd ask? There were water faucets and toilets that the WPA put up, and they'd bring their own tents and beds. They were grateful and glad to camp, and everyone worked, even the kids, even for 10 to 12 cents a box. As soon as they got settled, they wanted to borrow ahead on their wages so they could eat. Well, eat my eye. The head of the house was so busy they were down on the waterfront near Sunnyvale having a drink and playing cards. They went so fast the coattails were on fire. Now, the apricots ripen about the 4th of July, and then you've got to pick them. So here we were, just pressing to get things going. A lot were ripe, and they had to be cut because they were very soft. They had to be handled right away. Well, one of the fat mamas of the bunch decided they needed a picnic. And they were all going to Stevens Creek Dam, regardless of what the conditions were at the house. That was their attitude. This is one from Catherine Paviso Gasic. And Catherine is a first postmistress of Cupertino and just passed away quite recently. She writes, years later, when I was married during the prune season, we'd have about 200 tons of prunes because my husband also rented other land on shares. We'd unload them onto a platform. I would put them into the boiling lye water, dip them in the whole process, laying them out to dry all by myself. They'd lay on the trays for about a day or two, and we had a rake that we would pull across the trays. Then we would sack the prunes, sew the bags up by hand, load them on the trucks so they're ready to be picked up. I did everything. Charlie Bear, maybe you may know about, had a blacksmith shop in Cupertino, and his blacksmith shop is reconstructed and is back at our McClellan Ranch Park. Charlie Bear recalled in 1964, when I was old enough to pitch horseshoes, my dad figured I was old enough to help in the blacksmith shop after school. My first job was pulling the bellows, drilling holes for the buggy tires, and keeping the shop policed up. Mother made an awfully good whipped prune pie with custard in it. I recall Mr. Sutherland night patrolling the crossroads area with a shotgun until the 1906 earthquake damage was repaired. Later, I opened the first garage in Cupertino in 1915, and I operated it for 50 years at the corner of Stevens Creek and Highway 9. Let me tell you about the roads. You think the roads are not good now? Listen to a couple of vignettes from the roads back in the early 1900s. This is from Francis Martin. I was thinking of the hectic days when we were going to school on the streetcar that ran from Monte Vista to San Jose. The streetcar would be just loaded with school children. One day I remember looking out the window, and there was a woman sitting flat on the cement with her hair tied with a bow. Her husband was down the road quite a little distance, riding one of those vehicles with the rear wheels and bucket seats. She had bounced out and was sitting flat on her fanny with her fat hat still tied on. He had to drive back and pick her up. That just shows you how rough the roads really were then. This is from Ralph Rambo, a local historian. Our first West Valley millionaire, Rear Admiral Charles Baldwin, who settled here in 1892, was a great automobile enthusiast. We Valley natives were continually astounded by the Admiral. One day, a huge shrouded object was unloaded from a flat car at the old Santa Clara SP depot. When unveiled, it was an imported French automobile. He even imported a French chauffeur to drive it. I believe it was a Renault. The automobile, a bright yellow, was soon known by the countryside as the Yellow Devil. The thing was an awful shock to our driving horses, leaving a dusty aftermath of bucking, snorting runaways, upturned buggies, surreys, and hay wagons, including irate farmers and their scared kinfolk. Fortunately, on our rough chuckhole Stevens Creek Road, the Yellow Devil's speed was limited to 20 miles an hour, and its explosive noises could be heard a mile away. This gave us ample time to drive our trembling horses into an orchard or blindfold them. Dad would always smugly forecast, "These abominations will never be perfected. They're just a passing whim of the idle rich." Let's pass to the annexation time now. What brought us here today? This is from the Cupertino Courier, March 4th, 1954. I quote, "Representatives from 23 of 25 invited community organizations and unaffiliated areas attended the Tuesday evening meeting of the Cupertino Citizens Committee at Collins School. A number of individual citizens were present also to make an approximate 100 persons in the hall. On the new board are Ivan Meyerholtz, chairman, Harry Geis in charge of publicity and public relations, Dick Doyle, John Ford, Eli Gassich, Burl Leonard, Mrs. Rachel Lindholm, Bernie Coffey, George Vost, Warner Wilson, and Mrs. Irving Marcotte. Mrs. Marcotte is our grand chairman of our parade today, and I would like to have another, at this time, big hand for having started the whole incorporation process. Thank you very much, Henrietta. You are very foresighted. This new board met immediately in the general meeting, after the general meeting, to initiate the steps toward finding the facts on whether or not Cupertino should incorporate. After electing officers, they voted unanimously to empower Mr. Meyerholtz to arrange with the Coral Foundation of San Francisco for a survey of incorporation cost, and they also voted to have Mrs. Marcotte write letters to each of the city council clerks of Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, and San Jose, suggesting meetings with each sometime in April to discuss the relative merits of annexation and incorporation. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that one of the options that Cupertino residents had at that time before incorporation was simply to allow themselves to be annexed by either San Jose or Santa Clara or Sunnyvale. I'm passing to the Cupertino Courier of July 29, 1954. I quote, "This community cannot go further without more services. Police, road maintenance, fire protection. We cannot go on without doing something." That was the opinion of R.I. Meyerholtz, chairman of the Community Fact-Finding Committee, speaking before a crowd of 121 people gathered Tuesday at Cupertino Union School. "We will lose our identity and control by annexation to another city. We would probably be represented by one councilman," he said. Another meeting was set for Tuesday, August 17th at Cupertino Union School to organize a new committee to carry out the wishes of the community. The last one, let me go to the Cupertino Chronicle, a nice book published by the California History Center, which goes into the history of Cupertino. And I'm quoting from it as to the culmination of the committee's work. "After much hard work, the petitions were finally signed by the required number of people and sent to the County Board of Supervisors for approval in the spring of 1955. September 27th was set as the election day, when Cupertino residents would decide the future path for their community. Gathering up all their energies before the election, the Improvement Association formed an incorporation committee which undertook the task of informing the general population of the need for incorporation. Warner Wilson, Don Banley set up a series of panel meetings. Another committee formed by the newly created Chamber of Commerce and led by Darrell Sedgwick also helped create interest in incorporation. As you may hear as we go through, Mr. Meyerholtz and Mr. Sedgwick were very active in this. They now have schools named after them in the Cupertino district. Here was the committee's explanation for incorporation. "We are working for the incorporation of Cupertino because we believe it will afford us a means of expressing the will of our own people and satisfying the requirements of our own area." And listen to this. "Moreover, in the final analysis, it should promote our property values and save us tax money." So now we have the real reason for incorporation. Promote property values and save tax money. All right. 416 Cupertino community residents voted in September 27, 1955. The city was pushed into existence by a slim margin, 231 voted in favor of incorporation, 185 opposed it. On October 10, 1955, Cupertino officially became the 13th city in Santa Clara County, and that's why we're here today. Thank you all very, very much.
Inside, we have a presentation for the artist, Cupertino Artist of the Year, and I'd like to call on Stephen Beard, that heads up our Fine Arts Commission, to make the presentation. It's a very special one. We're going to move in the front because our recipient has trouble upstairs. Stephen.
Good morning and happy birthday, Cupertino. I'm Steve Beard, I'm chairman of the Fine Arts Commission, and as you may know, once every year we go out and solicit from the general public nominations for a distinguished artist in our community. This year we had, as usual, an array of very talented and distinguished artists, and difficult as usual to pick one, but this year I would like to present to you Fusako Seiga Hoyrup, who Fusako is an artist in plants. She's an artist in the art of ikebana. Ikebana is the very traditional Japanese recreation of nature using plants and organic materials. Fusako's work, one of which is on display for you to witness and enjoy in the lobby here today at City Hall. Fusako is a native of Japan, has a degree from Tokyo University, and is now a resident of Cupertino. She has 20 years experience teaching at the Fremont Union High School District Adult Education Program, and has been active in promoting the visibility of ikebana in Cupertino, as she was an essential element in the organization and presentation of a Ikebana festival at the Quinlan Center last year. We in Cupertino have benefited greatly from Fusako's talent and commitment to the community, and now I'd like to have Wally Dean present the 1995 Distinguished Artist of the Year Award to Fusako Hoyrup.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Artist of the Year. Would you like to speak?
This is very beautiful. I'm very, very honored to receive such an award, the Distinguished Artist of the Year 1995. I want to thank for all the people who nominated me, particularly Varna Piper, the director of the Fremont Union High School District Adult and Community Education, and her staff members. Also, I want to thank all my students and their family, particularly Mrs. Sharon Krawitz, Mrs. Michiko Hosoda, Mrs. Dorothy Ishimatsu, Mrs. Joy Ito, and Mrs. Kei Uehata. I also want to thank Julia Lamy, who is a recreation director of the Cupertino. She has supported me for many, many years for our show, whatever we do in the city of Cupertino. I also want to thank my husband for his great support for many, many years. Endless support. Thank you very much, Johnny. And my special thanks to the Cupertino's Fine Art Commission members for selecting me as a Distinguished Artist of the 1995. I will continue to do my very best to support the adult education programs. I feel that I am the part of our community by supporting the adult education program. You will learn so many beautiful things through the adult education programs. Finally, I want to congratulate the 40th birthday of the city of Cupertino. Happy birthday, Cupertino, and thank you.
Fusako, congratulations, outstanding job. She's very modest. What we did is when the Ikebana Festival was held at Quinlan, there's classes, there's displays. The proof of the pudding's very simple. We had 4,000 visitors go through the Quinlan Center in a 2-day period. We had meetings in the evening, dinners, and it was like, and I kid her about this, it was like bringing back Elvis. The excitement level was incredible. The enthusiasm was extremely high. We just appreciate her talents. Thank you very much. Moving from flower art to wall art, I'd like to give it back to Stephen to introduce our next category.
It's a wonderful day for art in Cupertino. We have the honor and presence of our distinguished artist, and also today we have the pleasure of the dedication and unveiling of a wonderful gift to the community. Several months ago, we were approached at the Fine Arts Commission with a proposition of a donation of a piece of fine art to hang in City Hall. Such a proposition can, as you can imagine, be a challenge as well as a pleasure, depending, of course, upon the content of the gift to be made. We were very pleased that Mr. Zhuang Zhao, who I will introduce to you now, presented us with a beautiful proposal for a watercolor painting mural for the wall here in the lobby of City Hall. It is absolutely exquisite, and as soon as we're through here, we're going to invite everybody who would wish to come in and witness the unveiling. So I'm going to introduce back again here now Wally to read a proclamation from the City Council, who have graciously accepted this gift to the city.
Thank you, Stephen. It's with great honor that the city receives a piece of art like this. We want to thank him and his family for his consideration, his talent, the commitment to the community. We think it's very special. We truly want to thank you for it. Let me read a proclamation. We will then go inside. We'll have the formal transfer and we'll move on. This is the proclamation from the City of Cupertino. Whereas the City of Cupertino wishes to recognize the talented watercolorist Zhang Wang Zhao as he presents his generous gift to the art to the city. Whereas this beautiful painting will serve as a lasting symbol of friendship and goodwill between nations that is so critical in achieving global harmony. Whereas the city wishes to express its deep appreciation for the significant amount of time, energy, personal financing that the artist has invested in this creation. Whereas the gift to the city will be treasured for years to come by generations of Cupertino residents. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Wally Dean, and the Cupertino City Council do hereby honor Zhang Wang Zhao for his dedication to his art and for the individual painting that he has created especially for the community. With that, I invite you in. I want to say thank you out here, and then we'll say thank you inside. Would you like to say anything first before we do the formal ceremony?
As a translator, Ms. Dao say something to some.
How are you? 今天是可布蒂诺的40周年，我为可布蒂诺市政府画一张很大的壁画，是一个非常高兴的事情。
He said it's a pleasure to give this gift to Cupertino City. As a resident of Cupertino City, he would like the spring in Cupertino means the city is beautiful and the full of energy is for the all of city. This is Mr. Zhao's wife.
我这个就是非常高兴，做古蒂诺的一员。
This is one of the support this gift who's the agent John F. Kennedy University and the president Asia American Political Education Foundation, Mr. Dr. Zhu.
Congratulations, citizen of Cupertino. I came from San Francisco to take part in your celebration of the founding of the 40th anniversary of the city, as well as the opening of the great painting for the city of Cupertino. I want to congratulate on the painting, because this is one of the largest painting. You have 166 inches in length, about 100 inches tall in height. One of the largest in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is in Cupertino, as the artist has just mentioned, means spring in Cupertino, symbolizing freshness, progress, forwardness, which will be a good future for the city of Cupertino. Congratulations once again to the mayor, to the council members, and to the City Arts Commission, to all the citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With that, I invite all participants into City Hall, into the foyer, and we'll have the unveiling of the painting. Thank you. I will give you the formal proclamation, so you have that from the city.
Without further ado, I invite the artist to please unveil the painting, and we present to you Spring in Cupertino.
Watch out for the pen. Outstanding job. On behalf of the council, the citizens of Cupertino, we say thank you. Outstanding. With that, if you'd like to stay and look at it, please feel free. We'll be progressing back outside. You want me to be quiet? I'm teasing. This is the Grand Marshal. You've got to listen.
Listen to me.
That's right. That's true. If Henrietta wants to say something, she's got it. We now will move back out to the patio area where we'll have music. If you'd like to stay and look at this or see the Ikebana art.
And the 30-minute video.
Oh, in the council chambers? I'm sorry, I didn't even know about that. There's a video in the chambers if you'd like to see that on the history of Cupertino. With that, I say thank you. Thank you to the artists, the parties, the family. I appreciate it. Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah, Mr. Zhao, go ahead and have an exhibition at the City Art Studio. Welcome everybody to have a look. The opening at 12:30 today. Then have a reception prepared. The address and he has a brochure. You everybody have a look. 不是那个宣传单。在这儿。There's some invitations over here. Yeah. Yeah, you feel free to take the...
Well, I've seen you when I've come to fuck you guys on the council.
Okay?
Yeah, and then he's like a big picture with you.
Okay.
What's going on? Oh, you have to what? That you're way down there.
Yeah.
Grand Marshal.
The Grand Marshal. Can we have the Grand Marshal? Yes. Okay.
Oh, over there?
No, for home it should be small. This is for special hotels and city hall like this. Large space.
Those real flowers, right?
Yes, there are 40 flowers in there. And each flower represents each year of the city. Hello, hi, how are you? Thank you. Yes, this is what I did. Congratulations.
Well, maybe we can see it some other time.
Well, I don't know. We have a sale anyway for $40.
Oh, I see.
If we have a video.
Yeah.
Well, good talking to you.
I
I'm gonna
see.
go get some lunch. I didn't have any breakfast. I didn't have any coffee this morning. My son came and brought my car back to me.
There's a guy.
So I had a cup of coffee.
Now, Kellen is a professional photographer. She wouldn't screw this thing up. Cheese, Kellen.